Welcome back to the WMMA Today podcast with Drake Riggs and me, Steve King. We have a lot to talk about this week with a UFC 258 recap and then some fight news, of course, every week, fight news, and then a UFC 215 or UFC 19, Vegas 19 preview, and some Twitter mailbag questions. A lot of them, actually. So let's get this shit started with the UFC 258 recap, where Alexa Grasso beat Macy Barber via unanimous decision, 28-29, all as you can see on the bottom ticker there. Alexa Grasso just she did her thing. She worked, man. She showed why she's one of the best female boxers in MMA.
Hilarious how that was brought up after the fight, isn't it? We talked about it before, and then that was a talking point.
Well, I mean, dude, we've known though. Like, if you watch fighters build their careers, like you and I have with the female fighters and stuff, like we know Alexa Grasso is superior to everybody else in MMA as far as boxing, right? We've said it. Right. We've literally said it over and over and over. And last week, that was like a big talking point leading up to this fight.
Yeah, and it's good that people finally got to see it, I guess, more so. It's like it's been pretty clear. As we talked about, when you look at the matchups and fighters, just her past fights. We touched on it leading up to this, but she's only lost when out-grappled. That's literally the case.
Yeah.
That's literally it. I mean, she was kind of just off in that Felice Herrig fight, like wasn't as active as we usually see her on the feet. But, aside from that, if I'm remembering correctly, she was still, edging it out on the feet. But Felice just mixed it up and threw in the grappling, and she isn't the worst grappler ever. Of course, that's not her strength, but Felice pretty well-rounded, and that was when she was kind of on a resurgence, if you will. So Alexa Grasso, man, on the feet is clearly a problem. And of course, if we're going to talk about the third round where she had her most trouble, it was just kind of like taking her foot off the gas and coasting a little bit, which you hate to see, but she survived.
Full throttle because she knew.
Yes. That was good to see on Macy's part.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Macy does, though. Like, that's what she did prior to the Roxanne Modafferi fight, and even going into the Roxanne Modafferi fight until she got fucking worked by Roxanne, right?
Yeah.
So she went full fucking throttle with that shit at the end of the fight. Like, you can't go into the third round expecting to knock a girl out that's been piecing you up.
And that is notoriously durable and, never been, really outstruck or rocked, anything like that. So
yes. Okay, so Z_skill29. We talked about this last week. I talked about this.
Yep.
The camp thing. Macy changing camps shows she has no loyalty to the people that got her to the dance, which is her dad, right? Which is her dad and like brothers or whatever. But also, this is like her second or third gym in 3 fights or something like that. She needs to stick to a gym. Like, you cannot just keep bouncing back and forth, changing gym.
It's like when rookie quarterbacks have to go through different head coaches all the time. Like, look at Blaine Gabbard's career, like how that started in Jacksonville. Of course, I'd make that comparison, but that happens a lot in the NFL. But yeah, that's a great point. And also, I'll give a shout out to the man Cole Shelton. I don't know if you're popping in here. I know that he was saying, hey, here's a talking point, because he spoke to Macy right after the loss, and she said that she thinks the ring rust did affect her, which, of course, it affects everybody if we're going to be realistic, except for Dominic Cruz and GSP. Those guys are the goats who are impervious to rust. Macy said that she felt a little bit rusty coming back into this one, and I would say, yeah, I guess it did show in those first 2 rounds for sure, but at the same time, that was probably always going to happen against Grasso that way. Let's
be honest. Let's just be honest. Alexa Grasso was a bad matchup for Macy Barber to come back to after an injury and after a big loss against Roxanne Modafferi. That was a bad fucking matchup. We said that. We already talked about that. That was a bad matchup. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, no, you're totally right, and that's the thing is, you and I both know, or we called that. Okay, well, it was plain as day. The UFC was rushing Macy tremendously with the Roxy fight, whether it was right to do or not, whether she pulled it off or not. That was definitely a rush. Her best win, still at this moment, is Jillian Robertson. And then you throw her against literally the most
great of a win. Jillian Robertson, again, we talked about this last week. She isn't a great fighter. You know, I mean, okay, Macy's
great at jiu-jitsu.
Macy's better than her, but she's not better than Roxanne Modafferi, obviously, and not better than Alexa Grasso, who is fucking skyrocketing, dude.
I love also to touch on Grasso some more that we got to see, the underrated grappling that she does have in this fight,
and she talked about that too, which was amazing. That was pretty awesome to hear her, say, look, I know you guys think that I'm just this fucking boxer who has really great hands and feet, but I can hang on the mat too. And I mean, she literally fucking did.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where your strength is so strong that people kind of don't realize that you are capable in other areas, which is the case with Grasso, as she continues to prove. And as I pointed out last week, if you go back to the Mizuki fight, there's a good highlight in that third round of her grappling. Way back then, that was 2015, 16-ish, so a while ago. But yeah, man, essentially this all boils down to the UFC rushed Macy with Roxy, and then they rushed her again on this return fight, which I don't know if you can blame them for it. The media people, the fellow media members of ours, ranked her at number 10.
100% agree that media. I 100% agree that media fucking gets that hype train rolling. Hype train rolling. Eats up Macy Barber and her bullshit, and then the UFC fucking catches on. Dana White catches on. And they push it. It's the same thing with Hamzat Chimaev. He all these Sean O'Malley, all of these hype trains. They're not hype trains. They're getting derailed very quickly, to be honest. We're seeing that happen. Chimaev is different though. That's a whole different story. He's getting derailed by a virus that is killing people. That's a sad story. But Sean O'Malley,
can't talk today. The classic examples, Sage and Paige, right?
Yeah,
those are
absolutely Sage. Yeah, I mean he looks like fucking he looks like He-Man.
He-Man.
They want that. They want that. Of course they want that. Why wouldn't they want that? But it didn't pan out. Ultra nice guy though. He's hella nice. I met him. Where did I meet him at? At Combate Americas in Sacramento.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Super nice guy, yeah.
What is up, Mr. Beckham? Thank you for checking in, sir.
From Texas, from Chile, Texas.
Texas, yeah. Hanging in the cold.
You have power? I'm surprised.
Yeah. Don't waste your power on us, man. Appreciate it, but be safe out there.
Depends on if he's down south or up north.
Exactly. So comment here from Jin.
Thank
you, Jin. Welcome.
What do you guys think of Esparza accepting a title fight on the January 18th, 2021, a card that does not exist?
Well, since it doesn't exist, it's didn't happen. She was just open to fighting for the title, right? Yeah. This is an ongoing saga we talk about literally every week. Unfortunately, with the strawweight division, Esparza is game for a title shot, which she deserves. If the opportunity presents itself, we just really have to wait and see still. No, nothing really to add to that, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that fucking sucks in MMA right now.
Big time. But I will tell you what doesn't suck, Steve, is you and I getting our predictions both right. So let's move on. The other
Yeah.
one, which was
Okay,
quite
so
impressive.
Pollyanna Vienna beat Mallory Martin via second round submission, which was an armbar. Look at that thing. She was cranking. She was cranking that shit. She was working it.
For a
Fucking
while. That
Mallory's
triangle,
arm
too.
was, yeah, exactly. Mallory's arm was like twisting and turning, and freaking at one point she's flexible as shit. Obviously, she's a female. She has those flexibilities, but at one point I was like, oh fuck, it's gonna pop. It's gonna, there was that one point where it was like where it was turned, and I was like, dude, that shit's gonna fucking pop. But then she hung on for a few more seconds.
Yeah, she probably shouldn't have because I don't know if you saw. I saw this because Alex pointed out. Shout out to Alex here in the comments, hanging out, Alex Behunin. He pointed out that Mallory posted a picture of
Yeah.
herself in a cast, so
Yep.
she kind of fucked herself up, it would seem. Or I guess Viana did that, of course. Yeah, man, this, as we knew, was always a very bad matchup for Mallory.
Oh,
And I think that she probably hung on for so long because she knew how important this win was for her. Like,
and she's tough as shit, dude. Like,
oh,
she's
incredibly.
she's a tough girl.
Yeah, but I think she's in danger of getting cut after this stretch she's been on. Of course, we mentioned the Jandaroba loss, no shame whatsoever. But then the comeback against Hannah Cyphers, where she was getting beat up quite bad, almost knocked out by Hannah Cyphers, and then this win or this loss, this loss for Martin in a tough matchup, which I cannot believe she was favored in. The odds makers don't know what they're talking about.
Crazy, dude.
Mallory's best path to victory was on the ground. She has great top pressure when she can control you and rain that ground and pound, which usually comes in the second round. A little bit of a slow starter. So that was even worse for her in a matchup where Viana is a consummate finisher. Excuse me, man. Consummate finisher. She has no wins by decision in her career. And, added to that total here in this fight. So Mallory was going to have to play with fire to get the win in this one. And she did, and she got burned. Like, it's not a surprise. It was, impressive that she hung on for as long as she did, but the danger was going to be there. If she would have survived and got out of that, she was going to be still risking a lot for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, Pollyanna's a hot ass girl, man. Like, she's doing really well in fighting. Like, she's really doing well. Juice says Pollyanna's Bay.
Oh,
Joe
geez.
Rogan watched that interview.
That was so weird.
Awkward.
That was so strange.
Awkward as fuck, dude. Like, he's getting
That was
bad.
like a fanboy type of thing. Like that was not very professional. I didn't think.
That would be like me talking to her, like, damn, this girl's hot as shit. But that dude, like, he's working for the UFC, he's interviewing all these fighters, like, for years and years. You think he would be fucking, a little bit better?
It's just like
better.
Like that story that's from 2 years ago. Like that happened. Like he just heard about it or something, and just couldn't stop talking about it.
Oh, you're talking about the mugging story.
Yeah, did I miss other stuff that he did?
Yeah, no, he talked about the mugging story during the fight.
Right. And then he asked her, like, that was his first question, wasn't it? Like,
oh yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like, why do you want to talk about something that happened so long ago? And people want to talk about her as a fighter, like what she just did. She literally almost broke a girl's arm. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, seriously. Just had a very good performance, building some momentum back up, after that initial run getting to the UFC. It was just very odd. It was very odd. And
okay, so Aaron said, Rogan was like, how do you feel about being the girl who beat up the mother? And that shit was old news. Like, yeah, exactly. That was literally 2 fucking years ago. That's something that I tweeted out. I tweeted that out with the picture of the mugger. Like, he's having flashbacks. Not expecting fucking Rogan to be like the first question out the jump, like, hey, what about the mugger? You know what I mean? That's unprofessional, bro. Like, what are you doing, dude?
So crazy. So weird. Just There were some weird comments on commentary actually at UFC 258, like the custody battle comment from
from Anik.
John Anik. That was just
Yeah. So
random.
okay, so that I guess the fighters were fine with it, like they had talked about it or whatever. But still, like that was like
Just
really
out of nowhere.
out of nowhere. Like yeah, it came out of fucking nowhere. That was really odd. Like really, really fucking odd. But I mean, I guess the fighters were fine with it. Anik is so professional. That's why I was like baffled by it.
Yeah, of
You
all
know,
people. Yeah.
of all people, you know, you would expect that nonsense from Rogan, you know, because he's an idiot. But Anik isn't. Anik isn't. You know, he's actually a really intelligent and smart dude. You know, like, and he gives a fuck about the fighters, and he has relationships with fighters and stuff. You know.
Right. And Aaron, man, you're killing me with these comments. I'm gonna have to look away when I'm mid speech here. But Z, I see that comment as well. We got asked about this
Yeah, we'll talk
in the
about
mailbag,
it.
so we will get to that later. Everyone curious about that, and plenty of
Yeah.
thoughts on it. But yeah, man, Viana is incredibly just fun to watch. So and looking good again. I think she's potentially righted these mental lapses that she kind of had in that losing streak and learned from it. Of course, hasn't fought the greatest competition, I guess, comparatively to that losing streak, but she's looking very good and has always
Yeah.
been a finisher. So it's like I'm very fascinated to see what is next for her, and maybe it'll be what is being mentioned there. So we will get to that soon, you guys. And I
Dude,
guess
she's watchable as
next
fuck
question.
too. Like, have you guys looked at her Instagram? Go check out her Instagram if you haven't already.
If you don't know, now you know.
Okay, Dana.
So, let's not get started on some of his comments. But actually, this is a
Another
perfect
fucking
segue.
movie.
Right, right. Perfect segue to Twitter mailbag time. Let's see, what order was that? And I don't want to skip you guys. I want to go in order of who submitted first. So we're gonna do that. Apologies, not the most perfect segue, but yes. All right. First one today comes from Juicy, who is here hanging out. He beat everybody to the punch this week. So there we are.
All right. So, was Alexa Grasso beating Macy Barber the best thing to happen in women's MMA this past weekend? And now that her chances of becoming youngest champ in UFC history are all but derailed, where does Macy go from here? Um,
I love how just blatant you are with that, Aaron.
he despises Macy Barber, like legit, cannot fucking stand that girl, and it's hilarious. It makes me laugh every time he talks shit.
I am enjoying it. Yes. All right. So let's dissect this. The first question was Alexa beating Macy the best thing to happen. Um, it was very good. I really enjoyed it. Fantastic performance. I'm thinking from a fight perspective, I think yeah, definitely it was probably the highlight. But in terms of overall happenings, there might be something in the news that I'm a little bit more excited about, and we will get to that. So I'll just say in terms of fight, definitely overall, still could argue it, but I like some of the news we got coming out here. What
I'm
about you?
all about Alexa Grasso. This was the best thing to happen in women's MMA this past weekend and probably this whole week. Alexa Grasso is the real deal. She's fucking phenomenal. She's attractive. She's Mexican, a
She's the
Mexican
Ronda
fighter.
Rousey of Mexico, dude.
Yeah, the Ronda Rousey.
How annoying is that?
If you guys haven't heard, Dana White said that Alexa Grasso could be the Ronda Rousey of Mexico. I fucking hate comparisons to Ronda Rousey. It irks me very, very bad. Let these girls do them. Let these girls be themselves, build themselves up as Alexa Grasso. Let her build herself. She's not a judo player. I could see, okay, if Alexa Grasso was, a judo Olympian, coming into the women's MMA,
They have
takes
literally nothing in common.
they have literally nothing in common. Also, would piece up Ronda Rousey. It's just like it. The comparisons fucking irk me like bad. I hate them. I hate them. And for Dana White to say that, why do you want somebody to be Ronda Rousey? Ronda Rousey was one dimensional.
Yeah.
She didn't evolve with MMA. Alexa Grasso is the full package. Let Alexa Grasso be herself and do her own thing.
Yeah. Nope. Couldn't agree more. It's just a little outdated comments. That was very interesting to hear. Like, I don't know. That's Dana's gonna find his ways to promote, I guess, and he thinks that was the best way. But yeah, Alexa Grasso absolutely killing it right now, and hopefully gets a little bit more respect in her next matchup. Which who knows what that'll be. And second part of it, Aaron's question, and now that Macy's chances. Right. Well, if we're going to be realistic, you guys, and I like to bring this up every time, Macy was already out of the possibility for youngest champion. Because if we're going MMA overall, Angela Lee has that lockdown, winning the title at 19 in one championship. That's going to be damn near impossible to beat, unless her little sister could do it, I guess. But we'll see how that turns out as she's fighting next week. In the UFC, though, yeah, that's not going to happen either. So where does she go from here? It's tricky, man.
Not a top 15 fighter.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. I've seen people mention give her somebody brand new to the UFC, like another prospect level person. Which, yeah, maybe not somebody who's decently green, but a newcomer that could be about right, or somebody with like one fight in the UFC. And initially, my mind went right to somebody like Meatball Molly could be an interesting matchup. They're both coming off of 2 losses, which makes it a little bit but then at the same time, you might be like, oh, okay, that's perfect. Then they're both on 2 fight losing streaks. But then I think that the perfect matchup here is to find out where both of these ladies are able to go. And this is a dangerous one for Macy, but also very winnable because of the ground game. Ariane Lipski versus Barber next. That's a nightmare on the feet for Barber, but winnable if she gets it to the ground. I think that is the move to make, and I don't know if they will make it, but I wouldn't be surprised. What do you guys think about that one? What do you think, Steve? What is next?
Yeah, I'm good with Lipski. Lipski needs to reprove herself at this point. We haven't seen the violence queen from her since she's came to the UFC. She needs to prove herself. She really hasn't. Barber would be a good step for her, though. But also, it would be a good win for Barber.
Yeah, it'd be a good win for either of them. Lipski coming off the loss to Antonia and all that. And man, just to talk about vintage violence queen, I rewatched that Belbita fight earlier today. I think that was when she won the title, and oh man, it makes me sad. That fight was so cool too in the fucking Coliseum, and just a crazy moment.
We just don't see that anymore from her, and it fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah, it is a bummer. Hopefully, there is still hope for the Violence Queen. Can't give up on her 100% just yet, but it's been a rough stretch. So, thank you for those Twitter mailbag questions, Aaron. Quick on the draw, my man. Good stuff there. And then coming in right behind him, our man Yusuf, who shows up pretty much weekly. Appreciate you so much, Yusuf. You are the man. Let's see if I can get the order right here. They will. All right, got it. Because you got plenty to share with us.
Yusuf says, there will never be a time where a female is called undisputed MMA GOAT, regardless on how skilled they are. I don't think this will ever change. Thoughts?
All right, let's start with that. Let's start with that. because there's a lot to get into with use of questions. Always love it. It's funny you mentioned this because after Amanda Nunes' last win, I was feeling like, man, I was feeling almost convinced, but then I had to kind of settle down, think about it. You're like, all right, GSP is always going to be my guy, probably.
Yeah.
That's like the Michael Jordan of MMA, the
Yeah.
GSP of MMA, excuse me. But I think it is absolutely possible, man. Imagine Nunes just for some reason decides not to retire anytime soon and just keeps
And just
fucking
keep rolling through the roll.
annihilating for like four, even just say 4 or 3 more fights. Then, like, dude, that would be just so wildly impressive, depending on who she beats and all.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is it depends on
because she's
who she
beating
beat.
everybody.
I mean, she's beating everybody, and is she gonna get Kayla Harrison down the line? Is she gonna be able to fight Cyborg again? It's things like that. There's not a whole lot in either division that she's a champion in. 145, 135. There's not a whole lot there. 145 specifically, it's barely a division, but
Yeah.
it just depends on who she gets coming after this Megan Anderson fight. If she beats Megan Anderson,
Yep. But that's a very tough question though. What Yusuf
it's
is
hard
asking.
because yeah, exactly.
It's gonna have to be Nunes, like, right? You can't really predict somebody's gonna replicate what Nunes does at this moment, especially as the sport gets better and better.
Yeah, we've already said that she's the female GOAT. She's, and I have her in my top 10 pound for pound rankings.
She's like 3 or 4 for me.
Yeah, like she's high up there. She's definitely top 5. But as far as like forever, ever go, damn, GSP's tough, man. GSP is tough to beat. So is Fedor. Other than his,
you also look at both of those guys, the longevity too.
The longevity.
Like, Nunes
right.
has been around for a while and doing very good for a while, but
Yeah,
man, the time on top, I think, is something that people like to look at, like how long they were dominant for. And Nunes has been dominant for a while, but still not as long as those guys, right? So it's one of those things. Depending on how much longer she sticks around for, I think, if she was to fight for 5 more years and I'm not exactly sure how old she is right now, but like retire at 40 or something on top, then it's like, okay, come on. She probably should be at least in the conversation for maybe best undisputed MMA GOAT. But I think that arguments could be made now for her at least, to be very high up there, as I mentioned. So,
and I mean, to be honest, this is why I want to see that Valentina Shevchenko fight. I understand like why people don't want to see it or whatever. I get it. But personally for me, I want to see Amanda Nunes up against another great fighter in their prime. Valentina Shevchenko is in her prime right now. I would love to see that fight again, a third time. I think it would be a different fight. They've both grown since their first and second fights.
Yep. Yeah. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I don't know if we can really give a firm answer on that, Yusuf. It is tough. It's tough.
It's tough. It's tough to say that, but
let's say possible, but probably not likely.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We will see. And then as for his second parter, 2 fighters whose striking / boxing impressed me recently, Grasso and Araujo. How does that matchup play out? Love that matchup a whole lot. Wouldn't be entirely mad at it happening next. Do I think it'll happen next? Probably not, because Araujo's a little bit higher up there, of course. But I mean, maybe, I guess, as we have seen.
10 and 7. Grasso's ranked 10 now. Araujo's number 7. So, I mean, in between.
She should get somebody higher up is the thing, though. Araujo should be trending upward after her performances,
I agree with that. Give Grasso Jessica I. Let her fuck her up. Let her piece that girl up. Get her out of the rankings finally. Get rid of Jessica I. Alexa Grasso, do your thing against Jessica I. Araujo.
A rough one.
Oh yeah, it would be great though. Araujo, a fight with like A Calderwood would be fun.
Yeah.
Calvillo would be fun. Jennifer Maya would be tough.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that'd be fun though too. Roxy. Oh, that's
Lauren
right.
Murphy.
All right. Yeah, I forgot that Arujo was the one who got. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, we have that in the news. I forgot that that was who
Yeah,
Chikaging got booked with. So
yeah, we have that
appreciate you
fight, but
guys.
I mean, there's other fights. You know, she's trending high for sure.
Yep. Yeah, that could be Rougeau title territory, depending on timing, if she could get the win there. And we will get into that. That is a part of the news. Spoiler alert. Um, but yeah, that's for that matchup though. That's very intriguing because as I continue to mention, like Grasso's been pretty unmatched for the most part in striking against everybody she's fought. And Arujo, another very good striker, maybe would be the best striker that Grasso has fought so far, unless I'm forgetting somebody, but I wouldn't think so. Um, so yeah, I love that matchup. It would be very, very, very fun to watch. Striker's delight. It would be interesting to see if anybody was to try and take things down. But hopefully we get to see it one day. I like that one a lot.
Yeah,
So yes,
yeah.
thank you for those to Yusuf, and you got more coming, buddy. Appreciate it. Appreciate it as always. So here we are, Yusuf's second tweet.
I have a solution to accruing good bantamweights. Find the best under 23 killers in kickboxing, mold them to learn how to grapple for like 5 to 8 years while kickboxing, and then bring them to the UFC. That's a long time without bantamweights, though. Like
Right.
you're asking you're asking for half a decade to almost a whole decade of the bantamweight division to be crap, which it is right now.
It's funny though, because like that's a good amount of time to get those fighters very good.
Well, yeah,
Like,
it's
he's got a good thought
what
process
he's
going
laid
here.
out. What he's laid out is what it would take to get them to be good. Under 23, they're going into 28 to 31. That's in their primes. Yes,
Hmm.
that's what it would be to get them to be very good. But the bantamweight division doesn't have all that time
Yeah, yeah, very true. That's
before boring the fuck out of us, getting very stale.
yeah. It's funny kind of to mention this idea here that he has because I tweeted out last night how it kind of hit me, the shift, the generational shift that we're seeing in MMA after, talking to some of the fighters I have recently. Shameless plug here for like Mengbo, Victoria Lee, Carol Hosa today or yesterday that was. Just multiple people who have started like very young in
Um,
MMA, like at least serious training. Like Carol started at 13, Mengbo, I think also 13, 14, Victoria Lee, obviously, earlier than that, and then made their debuts like around 16, 17-ish. Like it's crazy how this is becoming a normal thing. And it's only showing the increase in talent level if people are starting that much earlier and will continue to. So, and then
well, I
Macy
mean,
Barber is also
you're
an
starting
example.
in
Like,
jiu-jitsu at like 4 years old.
right. Yeah, exactly. But like getting serious into training around like the start of their teens. So it's just it's interesting to see how this is becoming a pretty normal thing, you guys, and these fighters are starting to come up and make a lot of that noise. Like Carol, for example, cracking into the top 15 herself,
Yeah.
and then yeah, Victoria Lee making her debut next week. And things are happening. There's not hope entirely lost for bantamweight if these people can emerge out of the woodwork. But that's a great idea, of course, Yusuf. If that could happen. But in the meanwhile, hopefully other names will show up and all that. And hello, Stamina. Good to see you, man. As always, our boy showing up fashionably late. So yes, good idea there, Stamina. Excuse me, Yusuf. We'll see how
Yep.
that happens.
He
But I'm
laid it
sure
out
Stamina
though.
has good ideas as
He
well.
he
Yeah.
laid out the fucking blueprints.
Yep. And then as for a second question, I think Valentina pretty easily win that one.
The question is, who has a better spinning back kick, Zabi or Valentina? Probably Valentina. Yeah,
Valentina's spinning back kick is goddamn beautiful.
pretty lethal.
And Zabit, yeah, he's got a good one, but he's
He
not
needs to fight.
the guy I think of.
He needs to
When
fight too.
yes, he needs to definitely do that. I have
He's
no
so
idea. Nobody knows what is happening with him.
so
I don't think.
inactive. Did you see the last picture with that guy? He looks fucking like, dude. He looks like a homeless man.
I did see that. Yes, he's doing his thing. Oh, what is it? Zabraham Lincoln. He looks like Russian Lincoln.
It's pretty crazy, man.
But yeah, so appreciate those, Yusuf. And before we get to the next one here, Jin drops one in the comments. So take a
Why
look
do
at
people forget how good of a wrestling and jiu-jitsu game Whaley has? 7 submissions and 3 fights won by technical knockout via ground and pound. Yeah, she's all around a very, very good fighter. I think people are forgetting her because it's almost been 2 years.
1 year. It's almost
I
been a
mean,
full year.
One
But
year. I meant a whole full year.
yes.
Yeah, we're
But
just not seeing her
yeah,
active.
people forget or don't realize, you got to think Jin is because predominantly she's most comfortable striking, which is very impressive. You know that she has as much talent on the ground as well as the feet, but also a lot of the main core, fan base in the UFC. Let's say, people who watch the UFC, even the hardest of hardcores, general hardcores, have only seen Whaley's UFC
Yeah,
career.
that's true.
Like, not many people watched her Kunlun fights. I always get the pronunciation wrong on that, but if you go back and watch her career before the UFC, it's not much of a surprise, and people wouldn't be forgetting, right? But just the reality is, everyone's only seen, for the most part, her UFC fights, which haven't really gone to the ground outside of the Aguilar triangle that she got. That's about it. I mean, she took Tisha down. She did take Tisha down
Hmm.
a couple times, but that wasn't the absolute best of Whaley's submission game or anything like that, as you're pointing out here. So yeah, it just comes down to people not having followed her from the very beginning, because she burst onto the scene pretty much in the UFC exclusively. But for those who were in the know, they know what's up still, and I wouldn't say they forgot, but
Well,
is that an appropriate question?
and then also her last fight was against Joanna, and it was just an absolute stand-up war.
Right.
So I mean, there was no ground game in that fight at all.
I was actually surprised to see I rewatched the fight like last month or whatever. And she actually went for like 2 takedowns and, got him very briefly. Joanna gets up
Yeah,
very quick.
Joanna scooted herself up though, pretty
But
quick.
like I forgot about those because there's just so much action in that fight.
Yeah.
It's like you forget about those little moments, which were very fun. Brief, grappling exchanges. And the crowd went crazy for him too, which was cool. Like just that fight's momentum shifts and all that made things so fun. And yeah, no, a good question there though, Jin. But I think the reason is just people haven't seen it as much as maybe you, I, and Steve, or whoever else who has been paying attention to her prior to the UFC. So we're gonna
Jen,
toot our own horns there.
I do also think that once she gets a fight booked, people will start being active about talking about Whaley in a good way again. Right now she just hasn't fought in a year, and people are getting kind of upset by it. Look, what Yusuf said. I'm so angry there are no upcoming fights at the top of strawweight. That's how we all feel. We all feel that way. And it's not necessarily even Whaley's fault. It's literally a whole pandemic. She's all the way across the world where the pandemic hit the hardest at the very beginning. There was no way that she was going to fight up until like literally now if they start booking fights.
Yeah.
If even they can. I don't know what's going on with China at this point.
Yeah. I mean they're doing a lot better. I know that much. I don't know exact numbers or anything, but from
Yeah.
all the people I've talked to have said that, things are going pretty well over there. And in the midst of Spring Festival, their Chinese New Year, I'm sure,
Mhm.
not partying as openly and crazily out in
Yeah.
the streets as they normally do, but I believe that there is still some going on. Um,
So Jin did say I follow Whaley on WeChat, and which is WeChat. So I want to ask you, Jin, about WeChat. Now that you mentioned that,
I have WeChat as well, Steve. I can answer
do
those
you?
questions. Yes.
Okay, so I don't, but it's a massive, massive social media, right?
Yes, it is the biggest
The
kind of
biggest in
communication
China. In
tool.
China,
Yes. I I don't want to compare it. Well, it's like
like
what's
Facebook, like
a
what
combination of
Facebook used to be.
WhatsApp, Facebook,
Facebook, right?
um, a lot of things, and a lot of people pay with it. Like it's got the pay feature
Uh huh.
um, thing. They were telling me all to do that when I was in China, but yeah, it's very commonly used in a very big thing. So
Okay, so Jin said I follow Whaley on WeChat, and she said she told Dana she wanted to fight in November 2020, but Dana told her to wait. Thoughts?
well, that's very interesting if
Uh,
true.
yeah, I don't. Why would he want her to wait? Wait for what? Wait for what? Wait for the pandemic to go away, dude. This shit
Wait
ain't
for
going away.
Rose.
Wait for Rose. Wait for Rose to be ready.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, I don't know, man. It's just a big frustrating thing. And yep, as I was pointing out, you can do a whole lot of things on WeChat. It
Yeah,
is incredibly helpful thing to have
that's
um,
cool.
if you
I
live in
I hear
China.
about it, and I mean I know what it is, obviously, and I know about it, and I know that it's huge on the stock market. I know that. Um, so I mean, I'm fucking intrigued by it.
How did you get her WeChat, Jen? I would hit me up with that. I would like to follow, if you could, sir. Go to my Twitter and give me a DM. But all right, we got to move on. We got more in the mailbag. Thank you, guys. Gotta keep the show rolling, but appreciate it as always. We got Head Kick Steve, who I don't think he is here at the moment, but if you catch it later on, Steve, appreciate you, sir. Give you a shout out there, and here we are.
Okay, so Sam Hughes and Fear the Maverick, which is Miranda Maverick, both lose their chance to compete due to their opponents pulling out. Who should they face now? Well, we know about Sam Hughes.
Yep, we'll get to
Um,
that.
and then he said Pollyanna wins. Tough loss for Mallory, assuming she isn't out for an extended period of time. Who would you guys like to see both fight next? Kind of talked about that a little bit with
Yeah, we
Pollyanna.
Yeah, there are a lot of directions to go with that one, Head Kick Steve. But let's look at the first part here. Pretty much answering for Maverick in this case. I would say, why not rebook the Robertson fight if they can? Like, it didn't seem too serious from what I saw. Did you see the specific details of what happened to her?
Yeah, she said that she was throwing
Throwing
up.
up, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
some kind of
So I mean,
sickness.
a 24-hour flu or the bugs, because Fear the Maverick is a fucking monster. Was she scared? I don't think she was scared,
Yeah,
but
probably not.
I know that a lot of people were pissed off about this, happening
I was
just,
very bummed. I was very excited for
just a
CC
couple
Maverick
hours
back.
before, and that sucks for Miranda. That that's terrible.
Well, for both of them, Steve. Have some sympathy for the girl who got sick.
Yeah, okay. I have sympathy for Jillian as well. You're right.
Would you like to see that remade, though?
Yeah, I like that fight.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a tough fight for Jillian. I
Right.
think,
Yeah. We both are,
yeah,
totally
we
in
talked
agreement
about
there.
this last week previewing. I think it's a very tough fight, and I think everybody thinks the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, why not rebook it? It was already booked one time. Why not rebook it? For a fight in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It just depends on how quickly Jillian can get back ready, I suppose. So,
Yeah.
with that in mind, who is next for Pollyanna and Mallory? Well, we have more Pollyanna questions coming, so let's skip her as well, because they're both matchup related for what is next for her. But as for Mallory, like I said, man, I could see her being cut. Her UFC run has been very disappointing.
Been tough.
Um, and yeah, very, they haven't done her any favors aside from the Hannah Cyphers matchup, which didn't end up being a favor. So that's not great. Um, it's interesting what to do with her next. I don't know, man. I really have to think. Well, Emily Whitmire dropped out of her fight. That could be the one. Another loser leaves town style fight if Martin does stick around after this, which we will
Or
see.
or winner loses town too.
Or we could see, yeah, both ways, like Mello and Morris.
Right.
I might go Emily Whitmire, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
let's do that fight and then see one of them cut.
yeah, yeah. Hey, we don't want people to lose their jobs or anything, but got to got to keep the bar set in place. Um, So yeah, that's where I would say for that. And then we will get to Pollyanna here in a moment. Appreciate that. Head kick Steve. Good stuff as always, my man. And all right, now Alex, it is your time to shine, buddy. You know you're hanging out. Appreciate it. Always great stuff from you. Another trio of questions from
I
the
like all these
man.
questions, man.
I know. Good stuff.
All right, number one from Alex. We'll go 1, 2, and 3. Start with number 1. Macy dropped to number 15. Makes sense? Yes.
Yeah, they swapped. They
They
literally swapped.
Yep. They're flip-flopped. Makes complete sense. Number 2. Vienna versus Corey McKenna next.
No, 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 no way. I don't like that at all.
Corey McKenna gets worked.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think that is a good move at all.
Terrible
Corey
fight.
McKenna shouldn't have won her last fight even.
No, that's a terrible fight, Alex.
We're gonna go in on you for this one, buddy. Pollyanna, deserves somebody, um,
Better.
well, not as green, better, yeah.
Higher.
Just
Higher.
higher up on the totem pole.
Yeah. And probably ranked, to be honest. She needs a ranked fighter.
I mean, strawweight. There's so many deep options, right? But yeah, no, that's not the move. That is not the move. Essentially, I don't know. It's tough.
Why not give her a Fleece Herrig at number 14?
Okay, okay.
Let her fucking work Fleece Herrig. Get her out of the rankings.
Well, yeah, she shouldn't be there in the first place. So
Correct. That's why. Get her out of the fucking rankings.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, I could see that one. Yeah, interesting. And we will talk about more options here in a moment.
One more fight before a top 15. I don't.
I could see that as well.
I mean, that's if they
that's
do
pretty. That's pretty much what in reality a Fleece Herrig fight is. She's not top 15. She's not top 15.
I do think that she's ready though.
I mean, yeah, looking good, and a veteran like Herrig, at this stage would be a good test to see. Yeah. So, and then again, Alex, bullshit. Third question here.
Okay, why do you think the UFC put Vieira versus Yana as the co-main event?
Because that's what they deserve. God damn it, they're two highly ranked bantamweights trying to get themselves a title shot. My man, like that is. I'm very happy that this is the co-main event, and I've seen people complaining about this, fellow media members, and I'm not going to name names, but
oh, you can
come
name
on,
them,
man.
Whisper them into my ear.
I'll whisper them to you later.
I want to see what media members are saying that this is a bad co-main event, because I'll name other bad co-main events.
Oh, we got plenty. When the pandemic stuff was kind of starting, you remember GDR and Pena was not co-main event. Instead, unranked heavyweights. That kind of thing was happening.
Jorgen De Castro and
yep. Felipe,
yeah. The big ass heavy fucking fat guy. Yeah, that was a terrible co-main event. But if
over top ranked, GDR former champion, like just her alone, doesn't matter who she's fighting, but for her not to get co-main, that was absolutely disrespectful and absurd, and she voiced that opinion as well, which I was very happy about. This is the rightful co-main event on this card, and I believe
this card it's not very good. Like, of course it's going to do well. The fights are going to be great because they always are. But
Right.
I mean, who else would you put up there? Andrei Arlovsky and Espinel? A good fight, but I mean,
But see, not top contenders right now.
no.
These are literally two fighters in, Ketlin and Yana who the winner is going to be one fight away from a title
What?
shot.
And Ketlin could very easily be next if she wins.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's the most important fight outside of the main event, right? And you could even argue more important. I'm going to go there because we all know that it's going to take forever for one of these heavyweights not named, I guess anybody that's not John Jones is in the mix now, so it makes things last longer. They're going to have to wait a while. Yeah,
I love John Jones at heavyweight.
and we need spotlight on the bantamweights who haven't fought Nunes yet, who actually can make the climb and actually are talented. So I am all for this. I'm very happy that they didn't fuck us over with some bullshit unranked heavyweight fight once again. And all right, let me copy this. I can't copy it down, Jin, but I appreciate you for throwing the WeChat in there.
Keep it up and take a screenshot.
Oh yeah, I can do that actually.
Take a picture of it.
Yep, I will do that right now.
Oh, oops, wrong one.
I got it.
You got it.
So yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yes, stamina. They were terrible. That was a bad fight. Very, very, very bad fight. Jorgen De Castro and the fat guy. I don't even remember his name.
Carlos
Terrible.
Felipe, I think it was.
My goodness. I was watching with a friend that card. I was watching with a friend who isn't really like hardcore MMA fan, but knows most of the champions and knows fighting and stuff. And he was like, dude, this fight sucks. This is terrible.
We
And I
all
was
knew
like,
it wasn't going to be good. That's the weird thing about why they did that.
yeah, this is such a bad fight. Like, why would, yeah.
It's bizarre.
And he really did enjoy Jermaine Durandamy, by the way.
Oh, how can you not? How can you not enjoy the
Well,
Iron Lady?
Well, like what I'm telling you, he's not like a full on every fight card watcher.
Mm-hmm. All right. But yes, thank you, Alex. Even though we strongly disagreed with your points this time, always appreciate it, sir. And all right, one
That was
more.
0 for 3, Alex. Come
0
on,
for
do
3.
better, Alex. Do better next week.
Do better. He's not going to come back now.
He'll come back. He has thick skin.
They always come back. All right, Waleed, finishing things off. Appreciate it greatly, Waleed, if you are hanging out with us here right now. I don't know. I think Waleed might have popped in, but if not, yeah, maybe he is. Let us know, Waleed. But thank you, as always, sir, for finishing off the mailbag today. And I guess you kind of answered that second one, actually, now that I see it.
Yeah, actually, we did. Is Viana versus Rebus 2 the matchup to make?
All right, so this is the grand finale on figuring out what is next for Polyana Viana. That is an interesting question, because that is a big jump up for Viana and a big jump down for Ribas at the moment, positionally.
Rebus.
Is that too much, you think?
Yeah, she's ranked number 10. There's no way that they're going to give her an unranked fighter. No, that they're just
not. If they want to really try and rebuild, though.
I don't know. I don't think that they will. I think that they would give her Rebus like Angela Hill or something like that instead.
Yeah, that would be a good one. See, that's the thing. I just think that the gap at the moment
tend to not ranked, and Rebus is still very much a favorite of the UFC and fans. Mm-hmm. They don't want to see her go the way of Macy Barber, where she loses twice in a row. They don't want to see
unless they want to cash out on Viana, though,
dude.
But she doesn't know English. Like if you want to look from the overall marketability standpoint, right?
No, as far as like marketing, that's not the way to market Amanda Rebus. That is not the way,
right?
Because I can see her fucking losing that fight.
Yeah, that's a very winnable fight again for Viana, who already knocked her out the first time. I would love to see that rematch, though. I will say that I can see logic behind that one being made, even though it probably isn't the one that I would make, especially for Hebus next. But it's an intriguing idea. If they make that, it's very. I think that it would be pretty telling of them. Being okay with the possibility of Viana sort of skyrocketing in a way. The potential to do that with them being, it may be a win, feeling like it's a win-win if they made that fight, because of course you're going to lose one of these potential superstars, but hey, you're getting one no matter what. Still, you're getting either one back on track or one is emerging, a bit more than they already have, and proving that the first fight wasn't a fluke necessarily, which if you
I
saw
know.
that fight, it wasn't a fluke. But
No, it wasn't a fluke. But I just think that the differential between 10 and not ranked is
yeah,
way too high.
yeah, especially in the strawweight division. So
Yeah.
um, that's a good question though, Waleed. We will see if they just what is next for Hebus will be interesting to see. I like the Hill matchup though, as we've touched on, pretty much since the fight with Rodriguez went down. But yeah,
Yeah.
we will see. And then
All right.
as
And then he says, is Yana versus Vera a number one contender fight, or will we see Holly Holm get another title shot? Yes.
well, we know that Holm and GDR need a rematch. they just need to at this point. Will it happen? Hard to tell. I guess there hasn't really been any, noise on that. I would like to speak to GDR again, though. Maybe I should reach out to her sometime soon. I have not yet, but I'm gonna put it out there into existence. And then Yana Vieira, yeah, they're obviously, climbing up and getting
Yeah.
close there. And I have no idea what any updates are on Aspen Ladd. She doesn't have a fight booked that I forgot about, right? So,
She does not.
yeah, they very well could be. This could be a number one contender fight. Ketlin was very close until she got knocked off by Aldana,
Yeah.
and Yana is very talented in her own right, former Invicta champ, all that going for her. We'll see how this one plays out. I think if one of them wins very impressively, then that obviously always helps. But it's tough to tell at
I
this
could see
point.
Catelyn getting a title fight.
I would love to see her versus Nunes. I think that'd be a great matchup. Ketlin
Sam
is still
says,
very underrated.
Sam says, and if Holm gets another title shot, we fucking ride. Yep, it would not be it would not be pleasant, I don't think, with a lot of people on social media. I know she has a lot of fans, but she also has a lot of people like us who are just not about that title shot giving out to Holm anymore.
The
Scenario.
freebies.
We don't like the scenario of Holm getting title shots.
Yeah. So we will see. Stamina also commented on the last topic.
Okay, so UFC would be foolish to put Hebus versus anyone that they can't build her star from. Viana does nothing for her unless they're putting all their chips on Pollyanna. Killing a prospect is unwise. And I do think that, like Drake said, Hebus knows English and she's, incredibly cute and like funny and goofy and stuff like that. She's a star. She's a star waiting to just explode. Like
Just a unique personality.
Yeah, like she is. I don't know. I don't like that fight right now. I don't like that fight right now. But yes, as Alex says, they can definitely they can sell the rematch. They can absolutely sell the fuck out of the rematch. And I think that people will buy in. I just don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be mad, but there's
I wouldn't be
definitely
mad, but
better
like
options.
what Jeremy is saying, they shouldn't. They should not do that. That fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's high risk, low reward for
Hebus.
Hebus. Yeah, no doubt about
100%.
it. No doubt about it. So And Yusuf hoping for the Pena title shot. I mean,
Oh,
it'd be
come on.
fun to see her get, you know, hurt a little bit, probably. But
We don't want that shit, man. We do not want Pena to fucking be talking a bunch of nonsense all over the place. Every interview that she gets, she's fucking saying some stupid ass shit.
yeah, that's always good fun. Pena comments. So we'll leave it at there. I don't really want to talk about her. So that is all for the mailbag today. You guys appreciate it plenty. 5 different tweets, several questions, and I see Z coming in
Yeah.
here hot.
Yep. Do you guys blame Whaley for sitting out for a year? No, I don't. Drake and I both do not blame her. I think that we blame COVID more for anything. You got to remember at the COVID hit, like right after their fight, like where the world was completely stopped.
The whole world, it
The
had
whole
started
world,
already. In China, it began
right?
in
It
like
started
late
already,
November.
but the whole world, it completely stopped the whole world. And then we went on to a couple of months without UFC fights, which was horrendous for us all. We don't ever want to see that again. But we're still in a pandemic right now. We can't really blame Whaley. We got to blame a little bit on the UFC and much more on the pandemic.
I love this comment.
Stamina says nobody with any sense blames Whaley for anything ever.
She
Not
is
yet.
a saint.
Not yet.
That woman is a saint. But yeah, no, I blame obviously the virus, and if we're gonna say somebody in MMA, Rose, and maybe Dana being weird, with what Jin was saying on WeChat. I'm gonna trust Whaley, her word over Dana's 100%. So if she said that, I will absolutely trust her.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it's her fault at all for sitting out. You cannot blame her for that. If you are, then get out of here. But yeah,
Dana like full of
that's
fuckery. So I mean, I don't blame anything that fucking egghead says anymore. I haven't for a long time, but I mean, it's just getting fucking ridiculous at this point.
of course. Stamina is all in with Penny as well.
Stamina says, I second that. I'm down. Put Pena in. I don't think she'll win, but it's better than anything else on the table now. I don't think it's better than Ketlin.
Yeah, I've always really liked the Ketlin matchup, like stylistically. When she was on that run before getting knocked out by Aldana, I was feeling like, man, Nunes might have to finish her to beat her just because of her wrestling background and
Yeah.
the grappling she possesses. Ketlin Vieira is very underappreciated still, and not a terrible striker either, but of course, just doesn't get love for that because she did get knocked out by Aldana, and Nunes would be very capable of that. But that's an interesting matchup stylistically, and I have not seen this hate Z, but that's absurd, and MMA fans, of course, would do that.
Yeah, he said not hating a lot, not hating just a lot of people on social media, blaming Whaley for ducking everyone.
No, yeah, she's not ducking. She's not ducking.
She's not afraid. I mean, shit, she was talking about fighting Valentina Shevchenko at one point.
Yeah, and I'm sure she would still be open to that at some point. But anyway, we have news, you guys, hitting the hour mark. Perfect. I think it's similar to last week, but let's get into it. And this first one here is why I said earlier that I'm not sure if Grasso's win was my highlight, because we got a hell of a rematch, everybody.
Yeah, so Ayaka Hamasaki and Kana Sakura are gonna headline Ryzen 27 on March 21st. Amazing fight. We've kind of talked about this quite often when we mentioned both of these fighters. We knew that it was going to happen. We just didn't know that it was going to happen at Ryzen 27, the next Ryzen. But it's amazing. It's only a month away. Not even a month away.
Sense.
Not even a month away.
Makes perfect sense.
Or no, we're a month away. Huh? We're on the 17th.
Yeah. And oh, look who's showing up. Showing up with
Okay. Okay, Steve. He said, guys, Pena is the GOAT and Amanda needs to stop crying. Mm-hmm.
Pena said
Trolling.
it herself, everybody.
He's trolling.
Um, but yes, Jin, asking would I ever interview Whaley or her American Strength coach? I actually have interviewed Whaley before. You can check that out on bjpen.com. It's Whaley Zhang and the what was the title of that? Remember the name, I think. So I would like to think that I got credit for that famous post-fight speech after the Tisha Torres fight because she really enjoyed, the story that I did for her, and coincidentally said that right after the fight happened and the win. So I'm going to take full credit for that. I always have. But I have spoke to Whaley before, and she is absolutely awesome, a gem of a person. Her American Strength coach, I have not spoken to him. I've spoken to her English translator, but maybe I will reach out to the strength coach. I have actually tried to, speak with her again in this downtime here, but she's just kind of keeping quiet at the moment, of course, with all the negotiations going on. So hopefully soon I will hear from her again. But yeah, check that out in the meantime, Jen. One of my favorite stories that I got to do. So that was fun back in the day.
Yeah, if you can talk to her on WeChat, since
Yeah,
you
yeah.
already have it.
There we go. There we go. Maybe.
And Jin gave you her name on there.
Yep. Hooking me up. Appreciate it. Stamina here.
And with this, I'm down with Caitlyn too, just because Pena is older. This is kind of her last chance. UFC don't care. They left Glover to Shara in the wind. They'll do it to anyone. Poor Glover.
Poor Glover. That's gonna make me sad with that one. That is definitely poor Glover stuff. But
No, I feel bad for Glover. I really do.
man.
Feel bad for Glover.
Brutal. But anyway,
He's
Ryzen
fucking old, man.
27.
Glover's old, man. Like,
He
dude,
is.
give this dude a title shot.
Give him what he's earned at this very old and decrepit age. No, he's doing just fine. But no, Kana versus Ayaka 2. I love it, man. It made too much sense, as we've been saying, as we said before their last fights, before Ryzen 26, when they both had fights. If they both won, we knew they were going to fight each other. Here they are, going to do it again. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah.
But as I said, as I've been saying, man, I don't see anybody not named Sohyam beating Ayaka Hamasaki at this point. She is just getting better. You want to talk about fine wines like Glover, who are getting better with age. Ayaka Hamasaki, the GOAT, holding the fort down, extending her legacy, looking incredible at, I think she's 39 now, 38, and better than ever. I have trouble seeing Kana. I think Kana will do better than the first fight. That's for sure, because she's gotten a lot better since that first fight. But man, tough hill to climb. I'm pretty much making an early prediction here, but I just don't see people beating Hamasaki that are not Ham.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll probably take Asakura.
Oh, you're going for the upset in the rematch. What a
Dude,
story
I
that would be.
really do believe in her. Like I mean, I have for a very long time. I get Hamasaki's great and all that. Kana Asakura is fucking doing incredibly well. Incredibly well now.
So
She's
is Hamasaki.
What's that?
I said so is Hamasaki.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, she's one of the best female fighters in the world. Of course, she's doing well, but I mean, Kana Asakura is really fucking really catching on, and I think this might be her time.
Could be.
And hopefully, what would be cool is her beating Hamasaki and then leading up to a trilogy fight. Love trilogies.
Yeah, no, that would be massive. That would be a very big deal.
Yeah. What else is massive is these girls are headlining.
Yeah, and you look at this, in the past, Kana has thrived in these big spots where, of course, the two Reina fights, the rivalry with Reina, both main events, and she got the job done there. Of course, the first one put her on the map, made her a superstar, and the superstar that she is today. And then in this rematch here, after one that she lost very clearly, significantly, to the GOAT, it'd be interesting to see the changes she's made. She's looked incredible since then, as has Hamasaki. It'll be very
Yeah.
interesting, man. It'll be more
Well,
competitive, I think, for sure. But again, I can't go against the goat. So early
it's
picks for
really
you
hard to
guys.
go
Can't
against
help
her.
it.
It's incredibly hard to go against her. But I mean, I think early lean is kind of going toward Asakura. Who knows what's
She'll
going to
be champ
happen?
one day, whether it's that day or a different day. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
love it.
so Z asked a really good and like kind of a personal question. Are Asian MMA fighters getting a bad rap because COVID started in China? I've seen some messed up things about Asian fighters on social media. So I think that the the thing with Asia, it's not necessarily just Asian fighters. I think that it's Asians in general. I know a good friend of mine is Asian, and he's literally been talked to by a white dude, like shit. Like dude is telling him to go back to fucking China or whatever and stuff like this. This dude is a 6'3" Marine. Like he's a big dude. My friend is the 6'3" Marine. He's a big fucking guy and like in good shape, active military, and he's like dudes are talking shit to him, you know. And I'm seeing like on the news and stuff like that, Asian Americans are getting people saying stupid shit to them. As far as fighters, I've literally never seen anything with a fighter, people talking to fighters. I'm not saying that it's not happening. I believe you. I believe you 100% Z, because social media is a fucking cesspool. Um, it's sad, and it all stems from fucking the China, the kung flu, and all that kind of stuff. It sucks. It fucking that kind of shit breaks my heart. You know, it's like it's not needed. Like the world is trying to get better to come. The world should be coming together right now, not fucking not being at each other's throats over some stupid ass shit.
Yeah. Well said. Don't have too much to add. I haven't seen any of this specifically towards Chinese fighters, and
I
you
don't
know,
look for it either. You know, I
right?
don't really pay attention to those types of things. I don't know. Like I haven't seen it, and I hope to not see it. I don't want to see that shit.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I know unfortunately that that stuff is happening, but
It is
especially
100%.
because they're all very sweet people from my experience. Um, so yeah, it's just stupid. People are stupid. So
Yeah, especially on social media. You know, it's easy to talk shit behind your phone or your laptop or whatever. It's really easy to say things to people that you would never that you wouldn't say things to in front of them if they were literally in front of your face. A fighter, really, you wouldn't say that to a fighter. You wouldn't talk shit to them because of COVID starting in China. You wouldn't say anything to that to a fighter in front of their face. People wouldn't do that. You have big balls against on a behind a screen. You don't have big balls on the street. It just wouldn't happen.
yep, facts, spitting facts. And what is up, Ghost Phantom? Good to see you again, sir. He was popping into the SCMP live chat that I did on what day was that, Ghost Phantom? Was that Monday? Either way, good to see you, sir, and dropping in with a question of your own.
What's the narrative that Mark Raimondi puts out that Rose is the best strawweight, even though Whaley is the champ?
I haven't seen this. I haven't
I
seen
haven't
this.
seen that either. And I mean, if Raimondi's saying that, he's an idiot.
If anybody's saying that, that's ludicrous.
Anybody, literally anybody. We have to see them fight each other. Whaley's
Yeah,
the champion right now. It's very simple. It's a very simple equation.
yeah. I mean, just look what they've done lately. Look at here. Yeah, MMA math is MMA math. But hey, if you just want to look at their fights against Jessica Andrade, it went a lot better for Whaley, didn't it? And we can leave it at that. And then also, who's got the gold right now? That's all you need to know.
Yeah, dude, she's the fucking champion. Like, sure, I want to see that fight, and yes, I do think that Rose does well. But I mean, is she is she the is
Best
she the
strawweight right
best
now.
in the strawweight? No, she isn't. It's not hard to. It's not very hard.
Oh boy, that's a little disappointing if true.
So he wrote about Mark Raimondi wrote about that in an article on ESPN. That's sad. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I'm looking for some clicks potentially.
Yeah, they're grabbing. They're definitely grabbing with that. Yusuf says, is Whaley versus Rose the most anticipated fight ever in women's MMA?
No, I get why you're asking this though, because we are all just dying for, we've had all this time to soak this in and anticipate it. Like we talk about it literally every week now, across all platforms. But most anticipated ever. No, I mean we're dying to see it just because we want to see Whaley fight again specifically. But most anticipated fight ever. The first thing that came to mind for me was Cyborg Nunez, probably. That was a big one. Or I don't know, Ronda
Ronda and
and Misha, the first
Misha
fight.
Tate.
I not the second fight.
That
That
was
one
huge.
came together a bit quick, but
That first fight, Misha Tate and Ronda Rousey, was massive.
yeah,
Dude.
that first one might be the real answer there.
I think so. I think that was the most anticipated fight. I think
That buildup was crazy for a women's fight and a Strikeforce fight.
yes,
At that time.
yes. I do think that Whaley and Rose, if and when they make this fight finally, I do think that people will be hype about it though. Like people will definitely be hype for it. I don't think it's gonna be a bigger fight than Misha and Ronda though. Man, dude, that was a huge fight, dude. Huge fight.
Yeah, that was lightning in a bottle of sorts. So yeah, I think that is probably the right one there.
No, we don't get Whaley talking shit to Rose or Rose talking shit to Whaley. We got full on fucking heat from Ronda Rousey and Misha Tate talking shit to each other. They did not like each other. Like they
Yeah,
did not like each other
intense.
at all. So I mean, man, that was good MMA. That was fun MMA right there, dude.
Good times. The glory days of the bantamweight division, to put it plainly.
Pretty crazy when we talk about the glory days of the bantamweight division and Ronda Rousey was the champion, while Ronda Rousey continues to get shit on to this day, even though she hasn't fought in 6 years. But she was the champion during during the peak of the bantamweight division.
Yep. Yeah. Very true. Interesting how things work out. But I see you, Ghost Phantom, my man. Appreciate you saying that my interview with Ramiz was awesome. Just checked it out. Yeah, Ramiz is a great guy. That was really fun. I was very excited to do that, as he's pretty much the perfect example of what I was hoping to do. He did what I hoped to do when I went to China, so that was very cool to hear about his stories and everything with how it came together with Whaley. And I'm planning to probably catch up with him again here at some point. He's trying to do more stuff like that, but of course, the coronavirus pretty much threw off his whole entire plans. He was gonna go and do, as you just saw the interview, Ghost Phantom, but for everybody else, Ramiz, he went to stay with Whaley when he was teaching English, and he was there for like the entire Joanna camp and teaching her English, for multiple months, and he was going to do that again with Hamzat, actually, before Hamzat was big. So that was before Hamzat was even in the UFC, but he was planning to go to Sweden and stay with Hamzat and teach him, better English at the time, after Whaley. But then, of course, the thing happened with the virus, so threw everybody into a spin. But yes, appreciate that shout, Ghost Phantom. You guys can check that out, mymanews.com/my channel, youtube.com/Drake Riggs. Ramiz Atik is the name, Whaley Zhang's translator. But See you, Steve. Good to have you, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
See you next time, and we will continue on with the news because there is more to get through, you guys, before we get to the preview. All right, fight news at flyweight.
Gina Mazzani is set to take on Priscilla Cachoeira on May 15th. So now they're starting to book out into May, into the middle of May. Do we like this fight? I think we like this fight for Cachoeira.
It's a tough one. I think it's solid matchmaking in terms of where these two ladies are at in the division. But again, it's one of those things where with Gina Mazzani, of course, just got the win over Rachel Ostovich. Looked very good, but again, it was against Rachel Ostovich. So how much does that really tell us, right?
It doesn't tell us anything at all.
That's the thing. Nothing, according to Steve. So,
shit.
Then for somebody like Priscilla Cachoeira, who I believe was Priscilla's last fight, the Dobson knockout, was that the last time she fought? I feel like it's been forever.
Yeah.
But yes, Z, that is correct. Priscilla does train with Jessica Andrade as well as Carol Hosa. They are all the PRVT girls. So, that's a very good camp down in Brazil for female fighters to go and train at. Unfortunately, Priscilla hasn't quite got it rolling to the same level of either of those fighters, but hey, it doesn't hurt to train with them. And Stamina says that she has changed gyms actually, so that is some more news for us there, which is interesting. Maybe she feels need to change things up to get back to her winning ways that she was on prior to the UFC and whatnot. But yeah, man, now that I'm thinking about it, talking about it here a little bit, it's probably a tough matchup for Mazzani if she decides to strike, because we've seen Priscilla does hit pretty hard and she's fucking tough as fucking shit. Like she is incredibly tough. Can take a shot from probably anybody thrown her way, and especially if she trains with Jessica Andrade, that helped iron that chin out. But Gina Mazzani probably will want to, best path to victory will be taking this fight to the ground, but I don't know. We will see. She maybe she'll fall in love with her striking after that Ostovich win, which very possible, but would be bad. So
yeah, I mean, she doesn't want to strike with Cachoeira, but just because she beat Ostovich, but Ostovich isn't a really good fighter.
Yeah. So, and it's not like I'm saying Cachoeira is an amazing striker or anything of the sort, but it's just that she hits hard. She hits hard and she's relentless. She is durable, which just and she doesn't go away. Like, look at the Meatball Molly fight. That's the best example. Well, I guess you could even look at the Valentina one where, she didn't quit. She got absolutely wrecked in that fight, but didn't quit, just got absolutely beat down. But you look at the Meatball Molly fight where she came on in the third round and, turned Meatball's eye into a literal meatball, hanging tough in that one. So Priscilla Cachoeira is dangerous if you're not gonna be on your P's and Q's, as they say. So I think that's fine matchmaking. I'm fine with this one, and we will see. But yeah, early lean is probably Priscilla after thinking about this a little bit more. So
yeah, I'm good with it. And then Stamina said, I kind of wish Gina was fighting someone with a little more pedigree, but I reckon it's going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because her last opponent didn't really have a lot of pedigree at all.
Right. So, oh my goodness.
Jack Slack says that's the main reason Andrade doesn't improve, because of Priscilla. Jack Slack is a female fighting hater.
I'm not too fond of that guy. Put it that way. From whatever I see, usually his analysis is pretty all right. I haven't looked in a good while because I'm not a fan of him, because he's kind of a douchebag, I would say. And hey, people could think I'm a douchebag as well, and I'm just going to put it out there.
He says some funny ass shit, though.
He can be funny indeed, but sometimes he's a little stupid, I would say, as well.
He talks a lot of crap about Valentina Shevchenko.
But all right, we enough Jack Slack talk. But that is a funny point, though, Jin. That is a funny comment. I will give him that. But some stamina fantasies here.
Okay. Stamina says my fantasy fight is Priscilla Castellera versus Jiyoung Kim.
That would probably be pretty wild, honestly. It's funny to say it's a fantasy, but it would be something. That would be pretty wild. Maybe if they win their next fights, if Priscilla wins this one and then Kim beats who was she matched with, you guys? Who was Kim just matched with? Do you remember? We talked about it last week, didn't we? Or 2 weeks ago. Who's Kim's next opponent? But anyway, we will move on from that and wait for the updates in the chat. Understatements.
A lot of understatement when Slack talks about Valentina.
All right. He's going to say what he wants. But all right. Let's move on to strawweight news, which we have already talked about a little bit.
Yep. So Emily Whitmire is out of her fight with Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes is taking on Loma Lookboonmee on birthday, May 1st. Love this fight. I love Loma.
I'm kind of surprised by this being made because of, Loma coming off the win against Jin. And then, of course, Sam was stepping in as a replacement. And then now she's getting a replacement for somebody who should be fighting upward. Like, this is very odd to me. This is very odd. Oh, and that's right. Stamina points out Poliana Botello. That's what it is. We talked about that like last week or whatever. So yeah, like that one with Kim. That'll be fun too. Tough one. But yeah. This fight though, Hughes versus Lookboonmee. Yeah, tough for Sam Hughes. No, not catching any breaks with these talented strikers in her first 2 UFC fights. Tisha Torres and then Loma Lookboonmee, who is just an absolute little savage in the clinch. Of course, Sam will have the size advantage here, which, I give her a chance because of that in her ground game, which is solid. Of course, that's what you need to do against.
She was bigger than Tisha Torres too.
That is very true. But hey, we didn't get to see if she could get a hold of her in the second and third round, so we'll see if she can survive any damage in this one. But yeah, no, definitely not taking any easy challenges here in her first 2 fights.
She just wants to fight, man.
What's that?
She just wants to fight.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, stepping in and then, losing the opponent that she's filling in against who needed a replacement of her own. Yeah, it's good to see though. Always fun to see Loma back. Wish she had an atomweight division to compete in, but it is what it is.
Ghost 98 says, first Tisha at her best, then an elite striker in Loma. Yikes. Big time yikes.
Big yikes.
Tough fight for
Sam. Tough tests, but yeah, it's very weird how it's all come together. A lot of cancellations involved, so I guess I'm fine with it in that regard. But of course, definitely not the matchup you would make.
I think it'll be a better fight than Emily Whitmire.
Yeah. I mean,
it would have been better for Hughes to fight Emily Whitmire,
right?
But
yes,
I think we're getting a better fight with Loma and Sam Hughes.
Yeah, that's totally fair to say. Totally fair. So,
Stamina says, Hughes better pray to all the fight gods the night before this fight. Yikes. I don't like this for her at all. Loma is a miniature monster. She is a beast. Her Muay Thai is fabulous, and I love it.
Hard not to. All right. So, last bit of news today. Just dropped today. I don't know if you saw this, Steve, and I was not going to put it on the list, but I was like, it is news, so let's talk about it.
Brian Caraway charged with forgery, theft, and insurance fraud over ATV allegedly stolen from Misha Tate. So, yeah, this is just that X that doesn't go the fuck away. I feel bad for Misha Tate.
I don't know if I'd
It's
go
just,
that far on
dude,
Brian.
dude, he keeps reappearing in Misha Tate's life.
Maybe I
This is
should look
this
through the
is
rest
years
of this.
later.
All right. Anyway, continue.
This is terrible. Like, it's just fucking nonsense at this point.
All right. Well, I guess we could read at least the first portion of this, or just yeah, it's interesting. Interesting happenings here. According to the investigation, Caraway reported the theft of a 2015 Polaris RZR all-terrain vehicle from his property in Richland in December 2018. The insurance commission wrote in a statement released this week. Then he bought a policy for it from Geico on December 21st and filed the claim on December 24th. He told Geico that he thought the vehicle and contents, including helmets, a battery charger, and spare tire for 500 there, and provided a title showing his ex-girlfriend gifted it to him in January 2018. So
And then Misha was basically like, no, that's not true at all.
yeah, so
Like I said, this is the ex that just doesn't fucking go away. Misha's already had babies. She's fucking not even in. Is she even in the United States anymore? Did she come back?
yeah, she's back now, which is why this timing is interesting.
Yeah, it's just crazy, dude. Like,
She's moving back to Vegas.
yeah, that's true.
So
But it's fucking wild, man. It's just wild.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there's much more to say about it than that, but what do you guys think? Some craziness with poor Brian, not poor Brian Caraway, poor Misha
Poor Brian
Caraway.
Caraway.
Yeah,
I do
poor
not feel
Brian.
bad for that guy at all. What the
No,
hell?
no. I get the people mixed up
Fucking
here.
douchebag.
I mean, he was charged, so there's that.
Yeah, he's a fucking douchebag.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Well, this stuff happens in MMA, doesn't it? So
It happens in all of sports.
it happens in all of them. But all right, we will move on from that good fun.
I didn't think that you were going to put that
I
up.
didn't.
I
Yeah.
laughed. I laughed when you popped it up, and I
I
knew
know we really didn't need it, but I was like, I might as well mention it.
it's Misha Tate. It's Misha Tate news.
Yeah, it's affecting her, so that counts. But all right, fight time coming up this week, you guys. Before we get to the preview, whenever there is a matchup that doesn't quite need a whole lot of breaking down, we at least like to point it out, tell you that it is happening. So that is what we're gonna do here with this first one, because DEPA 100 Impact is this week. The massive show happening over in Japan. Very excited for it, and we have one ladies fight, Steve.
Yeah. Shizuka Sugiyama versus Kuriyama.
Yep. Kuriyama versus Sugiyama. So this is a fight to keep an eye on, of course, because of Shizuka Sugiyama, who has been one of Japan's best flyweights for, I guess pretty much her whole career. A veteran at this point, just turned 34, I believe, but has really no competition, and that is again the case with this matchup against Kuriyama, who I believe fights at strawweight generally, or atom weightish, lighter. She fights lighter than Shizuka, who kind of has been the case with her last two opponents, I believe. Either way, it's hard to find. There's not a lot of flyweights in Japan aside from Shizuka, so she's kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of what she can get at this point. So this 100% should be a win for her, which is why not really going to break it down, but check it out. Check out this whole card if you are interested in, have something, need something to do on the 21st, whatever time it will be, I'm not sure, but Deep 100 Impact, you guys keep an eye out on that. Shizuka Sugiyama is always fun to watch, no matter who she's going against. So, and it would be great to see her, land a deal with like Bellator or something. I don't know why the UFC hasn't thought about bringing her in. As we talked about when this fight was made, like very popular on YouTube. It's surprising. She's got a good fan base, and a good fighter. So she would be a very welcome addition to either Bellator or UFC's flyweight division, they could use her for sure. So
I'm pretty surprised that the UFC hasn't slid in there and
yeah, man,
got her.
very
Again,
interesting.
again, you said she has ton of a ton of views on YouTube. Um, UFC's kind of slipping on this one, I think.
Yeah, and of course things are weird right now, but it's able. People are able to
Well,
fight. We saw Kanako make the trip over. It
yeah,
is doable.
we're seeing. It's not like we're not seeing Asian fighters at all in the UFC. We are. It's just not what it used to be.
Yeah, a lot tougher right now. A lot tougher, and maybe that's a thing with her too. Maybe she's been approached within this pandemic life, but she just doesn't want to go through the complications of it all. Which is possible, but I don't know. Either way, check that one out, you guys. Shizuka Sugiyama, always one to watch, whether it's in the cage or on YouTube, because her channel is pretty entertaining, even if you can't understand it. I've watched a couple of videos. She is a good personality. And she does speak English, actually, so it's like no fucking reason not to sign her, in terms of marketing, too. Yeah, she grew up in New York, I think. So
it's crazy, dude.
yeah, I've been wanting to speak with her ahead of this one, but haven't got a hold of her. So yeah, hopefully she's on my list to people to talk to at some point, and get the scoop on that stuff. So we'll see how she does this weekend. Looking forward to that, and that whole card is stacked, you guys. If you follow the Japanese scene, the big show for Deep. But all right, we will move along to the grand finale here, which is UFC Vegas 19, and only one fight, and we have already mentioned it, but take it away, Steve.
Yeah, so Caitlin Ware versus Yana Kunitskaya. This is the co-main event and should be the number one contender title shot at bantamweight.
Yep, as we've pretty much already discussed, but now time to break it down a little bit. I have a feeling that you are going Ketlin. I'm going to throw it to you first.
100% going Ketlin. Yeah, her striking, man, it's so good, dude. She's so good. Such a good fighter. Yana is good as well. But I don't see how Yana beats her. I don't know. Might be surprised though.
I was very bummed, and we talked about it on the show. I was very bummed when this fight initially fell through because this was supposed to happen months ago. But it didn't, obviously. I was very upset about it, and I was excited for what could happen. I really like this matchup. I like both of these fighters a whole lot. I think they're both very good and very underrated. But yeah, now that I've had more time to think about it, it is a fairly difficult matchup for Yana, as you kind of just alluded to right there, because her best path to victory will probably be, and let me bring this up first, I guess I should say, is because we saw in that the last fight with Stoliarenko where she just abused her in the clinch pretty much entirely.
She has to clinch.
Yeah, but then it's a little bit similar to Martin versus Yana, where if Yana does that against Ketlin, she's playing with fire. But that's a good path to victory, but that's playing with some fucking fire, because Ketlin, very good in the clinch as well, very strong, will take a leg and get you down, hit a trip. She will throw you on your head. Like, her Brazilian wrestling, very top-notch stuff, you guys. Championship caliber, BJJ black belt. How many black belts does she have here? Let me see. Judo black belt, BJJ black belt, wrestling. She's got all the grappling you could really ask for. So Yana getting her in the clinch is a good idea, but also a very dangerous one. So I think the best path to victory here will be to keep it at distance. As we've seen in the past, Yana, I have always called, well, not always, but we've seen flashes of her training partner, Holly Holm, the help that she's had from there. But she's been a more aggressive Holly in certain fights. Like, you look at, for instance, the best example of Yana on point using her striking was against Raquel Paolui, now Raquel Canuto, when she won the title. You remember that one, Steve? Yana was on fire. 5 rounds of brilliance from her, just picking apart Raquel who was plodding forward and just eating shots for days. I think she'll need to replicate something like that, because if
Like
Ketlin
that.
gets a hold of
Yeah.
her, it's going to be just very dangerous. It's going to be a risky game to play, but Ketlin is going to pressure and try and close that distance. I think Ketlin hits harder, can hang on the feet, but at distance, I think Yana has the edge and will need to avoid, getting, you know, fighting in tight as much as you can. Of course, maybe in spurts where she can utilize her clinch, as we've seen, but I just don't think she'll be able to outmuscle Ketlin. And
There's no
she
way.
can she can throw up some submissions too, as we've seen in the past. She's very active off her back, whether it's with strikes or submissions. But seeing her submit Ketlin, that's a tough thing to envision as well. So I think Yana ultimately has her work cut out for her a lot more in this one, and it comes down to who has more ways to win in this one. It's Vieira, right? Essentially, if you look at the matchup, so that's how I'm kind of feeling about this. I'm gonna take Ketlin as well. I love both of them, I really do. But I've always been high on Ketlin since I saw her UFC debut. She debuted in Portland at the first event that I got to go to. Saw her in that one against Kelly Fashholes, if you remember her. Great debut, and then went on a tear. So riding that Vieira train all the way to the top still, even as much as I love Yana, I'm going to take Ketlin by second round submission.
Wow, early, huh? Second
Yeah.
round. Yeah, I don't think that Ketlin necessarily gets a finish because Yana's really tough, but I do think that she controls the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Ketlin gets a unanimous decision.
So that's perfect that you mentioned that because of the question Ghost Phantom just asked.
Yeah, so he asks, you guys think that Ketlin has learned to cut the cage with lateral footwork? I hope, I certainly hope so.
She'll need to.
She's going to need to against Yana. Yeah, she will definitely need to.
I think that, of course, a loss like she had against Aldana, it sucks. It's brutal. She lost her undefeated record, but somebody like her who is so determined and kind of aware of where they stand, I think that she will definitely has learned from that fight. And of course, she's only had the Sajara Eubanks one since then, who, Eubanks not the most fluid of strikers with their movement or anything like that, but looked very good. And Steve was high on the Sajara train, as he usually is there going into that one, but it was short notice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, how does Ketlin not learn from that fight against, one of the best boxers she could fight, as we mentioned last week against Aldana. So it was good, in a way, a learning experience for her to lose to Aldana in that fashion. And but that is definitely a good question and a big, important question that we'll need answering, Ghost Phantom. So appreciate the chime in there. But yeah, we are both going with Brazil here. She just has, they both have a lot of tools in the toolbox, but Ketlin has some very
I
good
wouldn't be
strengths.
completely shocked if Kunitskaya won,
No. Mm-mm.
but I just think that Ketlin is the better fighter between the two.
Did you get the odds on this?
Odds are plus 235 for Kunitskaya, minus 275 for Vieira.
Oh, pretty decent. Pretty favorable for Ketlin, right? If I'm hearing that correctly.
Yeah, minus 275.
Is that worth a chance for you, Steve, or is that not big enough?
It's not big enough to go on Ketlin, but for Kunitskaya, if you're a believer in Kunitskaya, then go for it.
That's what I meant.
Yep.
So
I would rather put money on Derek Lewis because all of a sudden he's a wrestler and he wants to wrestle Curtis Blades. Did you see that? Did you see that video clip that the UFC
no,
put up?
what happened? What'd I miss?
It's fucking hilarious. Go look at UFC's. Twitter page. They put up a very small video with clips of outtakes from Derek Lewis. He's such a fucking funny ass dude. But he said that he's going to wrestle Curtis Blades.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's a wrestler now. So plus 234, go for it. Put that money on Derek Lewis.
Fantastic. Oh man. All right. Well, you guys, that's the only fight we got this week. Well, the only fight to preview. We got two fights, as we said, with Sugiyama and Kuriyama over in Deep. But this is the only UFC one, and a very good one, a very important one
Wait,
at
isn't Shannon
135.
fighting on this card?
I don't know. Did I straight up miss one? I'm going to be a little embarrassed if I
Yeah,
did.
dude. Shannon Dobson
Okay.
and Casey O'Neill are fighting on this card.
Oh, all right. Well, let me get that right here. Oh, well, I don't know how I missed that. I don't know how that happened. Was this like, did this happen late or something?
No,
Um,
it's been.
all right. All right. Well, we got more. Never mind. I don't have a ticker for it, but all right.
Sorry, we're
Casey O'Neill
talking
and
about Casey
Shanna.
O'Neill and Shannon Dobson. Oh, I don't have a picture of Casey O'Neill. Look at that. But
Surprise, surprise.
at least it's a woman.
Right. Yeah, it's not Brian Ebersol.
Right.
All right, Steve. How you feel about this one then?
Well, I mean, Dobson has really turned it around, huh?
In the last fight, that is.
With one knockout.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be a tough fight for Casey, I would assume.
A good
right?
debut opponent, right? I would say.
It's a good debut.
But again, the spoiler.
Definitely a good debut.
She's going against the spoiler that is Shanna Dobson, as we saw in the last fight.
But is it a spoiler though? Like Shanna's fighting a fighter who's making their debut. That's not really spoiling. That's spoiling a debut, I guess. That's it.
Well, I mean that in the sense that she's supposed to be the stepping stones in these matchups, in the Agapova one and then this one, right?
She wrecked Agapova though.
Yeah, but we all didn't think that was going to happen. That wasn't the plan. This wasn't a part of the plan.
Oh my goodness. Shanna Dobson is a plus 190.
Really? She's underdog again against Casey.
Casey
wow.
Oh no,
There's money to be made there.
Opening line was 190.
Okay.
It's really come closer. 115. Oh, this on all the sites it's kind of off. 115. I see plus 135, plus 125. She's the underdog on all of the betting lines at every site, but it's close. Plus 115 to minus 145 for Casey O'Neill, who's again making her UFC debut.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. And Z is asking here, do we think Shanna is getting the short end of the stick with the UFC matchmakers? Sure seems like it. Sure seems like it. But again, I guess this will be very telling. All right. If she wins this one,
she'll be 4-4 in the UFC track if she wins this one.
But what I'm getting at is, if she loses this one, then they did something right? And stylistically, this is a matchup that, on the feet, I think she will have the edge. Shanna Dobson's boxing is pretty serviceable, right? It's decent. Of course, she's not going to outbox anybody, and she'd get not going to outbox, a lot of the best or anything. And she did get knocked out by Priscilla Cachoeira, as we mentioned earlier. But you look at the Agapova fight, and Agapova gassed out and then couldn't hang on the ground. I think it's safe to say Casey O'Neill's strengths lie on the ground. If you've watched, her fights in her last fight against Christine Stelio in UAE, where she got the ground and pound in round 2, and just generally takes fights to the ground, has submissions on her record, and just is more comfortable on the ground. I think that's the strength for her. And coming in the UFC debut, looking to make some noise. She gets it down. She should be able to handle things, but it's a tough one to predict because of all these elements of like, oh, Shanna Dobson, is she actually turning around, or was that more of a case of Agapova letting that fight get away from her, right? Because Agapova was doing very well in the first round. She was. She gassed out though.
Yep.
So is Shanna really getting momentum, or was that just more of a slip up? I don't want to say a fluke or anything, but this is a winnable fight for both of them. But you know, I think I'll go with the undefeated prospect who has looked very promising, and you know, I always favor the grapplers a little bit for the most part, so
Yeah.
I will
In these
take the
type of
edge here.
fights.
This one, yeah, in these
Yeah.
ones. So Casey O'Neill for me, I think she'll get a successful debut. It won't be easy, but I feel pretty comfortable with the pick.
Or it could be because she
Um,
has takedowns for
yeah,
days.
yeah, if she just grinds it out nicely, puts a beating on Shanna. So I'm gonna go decision though. She's not like a crazy finisher, but when she
No,
gets
she
into the
has two
ground, she can do
finishes.
damage. Yeah. So
She has two
I'm gonna take
finishes in like 5 or 6 fights or something like that.
yeah.
Um, but both of her finishes were on the ground. So and she's a grinder, like Drake just said. She's a grinder. She takes the fight to the ground and she fucking beats her opponent's asses. Um, yeah, I'm going Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill to make the her debut in the UFC a winning one. Um,
Keep the
I
train rolling.
Yeah, probably by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if she finished her though.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I'm not. You know, Dobson. She surprised us all. She wasn't supposed to win that fight against Agapova. She did. She surprised us all. I do not think that she's as good as that fight showed us.
Yeah. And I mean it didn't even show us that she was like that great or
Yeah,
anything, like
yeah.
as Stamina's pointing out.
Okay, so Agapova threw that fight in the bin. She might still have lost, but not so quickly had she not been so high on her own farts in there. She's pretty high on her own farts.
I don't know if I've ever heard that phrase before, but I'm here for it. So
I'm pretty high on my farts. I like mine.
Jen
Jin
commenting
says,
here.
no offense, but Shanna's striking is like watching her hit pads and ignoring what's happening in front of her. Just something she needs to fix. And I mean, she's at the point in her career where she's not really making a whole lot of changes.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, very true. Um,
No,
she'll need to.
no, Z. No, no miracle for Dobson again. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, possible, but how likely? So we will see. Of
I
course,
agree.
Shanna's, got an experience edge in terms of level of competition, I think, but
Mhm.
still, still not a significant enough amount, if that makes sense. So, all right. So, did I forget any other fights? No, that's kicking off the card,
You
is it?
didn't.
No.
Yeah, you didn't forget anything else.
Spivak and Vandera kicks it off. All right. Well, there you have it, you guys. 3 fights in total we have this weekend. Good,
When's
fun.
Bellator coming back? My
Bellator
God.
is on its way after March, but
My
until
God.
then,
It's been a long layoff for them.
yep. Alima versus Juliana was the last event.
Terrible, dude.
Wild.
Terrible. Like, and it's not even necessary. They could have put on fights. Continue to put on fights in Connecticut.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is what it is. So we'll see him when we see him. But until then, you guys, don't forget, follow us, like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already, for some odd reason, at Drake Riggs _, at Steve K _MMA, at The Scrap News. Subscribe to the YouTube channels. Follow The Scrap, the website itself, and on Twitter, everywhere. I'm sure you're doing it already if you're a reoccurring viewer, and if you're new, thank you so much for tuning in. And do all the clickety clacks here on the buttons that I just told you to do. Would greatly appreciate it. Means a
All the
lot.
clacks.
All the clickety clacks. But as for what we have coming up in the week until we see you next week, Steve, what do you got, sir? MMA Inc. Anything new?
Yeah, I put out a couple of interviews. MMA Inc.
Ooh, did I miss him?
No, I don't think you did. I'm going to put them out probably tonight.
All right, very nice. And
And
what
then
fanboy came out today?
WMMA podcast, Yusuf, thank you for listening. He said one came out last week on Friday. Another one will be coming out Thursday. Friday was not the typical day. I don't really necessarily want to put it out on Friday. Just had to for some reason.
Yeah.
Thursday is the day that I'm going to try to put them out weekly now. Thank you to, I don't know who's listening to them. I can't see who, but thank you. There are numbers there, and I appreciate Yusuf. He did tell me that he's listening. So thank you, Yusuf. If you're still here, you can check that out on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcast. Fanboy MMA podcast. That is me. There will be a new image coming soon by our friend Dave, who did our image for our show, the one that you're watching, listening to right now. He's making one for me as well. Other than that, I have a couple of MMA Inc. episodes that I'm trying to work on. Other than that, that's it. What about
Very
you?
nice. Very nice. Yeah. So, as for what I got, you guys, always so much that I forget about it, but Steve's got a lot as well. We both got a lot going on. Let's see what this week. Well, spoke to Victoria Lee, who we mentioned earlier in the show, the
It was
16-year-old
really good interview.
youngest sister of the Lee clan, and thank you, sir. Yeah, she's making her debut next week against Sunisa Sreesan at One Fist of Fury. You can check that chat out, of course, on mymanews.com, as well as my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Drake Riggs. Victoria Lee, 16-year-old prodigy child.
Crazy
Those
dude.
Lees are talented. It made me feel super old speaking to her. I will tell you that much. And then just today, released my chat with Carol Hosa, who I spoke to yesterday. Of course, the number 14 ranked bantamweight. That is also on mymanews.com. And, everything's also goes on my YouTube, so I shouldn't even need to say that anymore. But Carol Hosa, very fun chat with her. Thank you, as always, to our man, Alexander, for doing the translation. Very good stuff. Very, very fun and good personality she is. That was, check that one out, you guys. And I also dropped a little opinion evaluation piece on Romero versus Rumble, which I dropped today. And some people might not like that one. A little bit of a hot take, but check it out. It's on my Twitter as well, at Drake Riggs _. And then let's see, what else are we working on? Oh, I will be doing a series of top 5 greatest fights ever for each division from atomweight to featherweight. So that'll be on Fansided coming over the course of next month and what have you. And yeah, always doing video stuff for the Body Lock as well. Check out their channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers over there, you guys. So go subscribe if you have not yet. That would mean a whole lot. We're very close. I think 7 away. Always pumping stuff out, doing preview shows, fight companions that I'm not on, but you can check out the other guys. They're great. So I think that'll about wrap it up for this week. But always working on plenty of new stuff for you guys to enjoy, and I appreciate all the support so much. Somebody randomly came to me today and was just discovering my Megumi Fuji story, and they were really appreciative of it. So that means a lot. I'll give a shout out to you, Jehu Media, Jehu Media. I believe that was his name. Check out his YouTube channel. He does a lot of highlight videos and stuff. Looks like some good work. Appreciate the love he was given. So I want to, give him some love back. But other than that, I think that's about it, Steve. So let's say goodbye to the good people.
The good people. Aaron, Head Kick Audio Steve, Yusuf, Z Skill 29, Din, Mr. Beckham showed up.
Yeah, he did.
For one opinion, I think. Alex, thank you. Stamina, of course, always showing up late, but all good. It's all good, baby.
Better late than never.
Yes, sir. And then I think that is it. That's a lot. We had up
Did
to
you say Waleed? Did you leave out
oh
Waleed?
Waleed. Waleed was
Jin.
I said Jin.
Jin's here. Oh, okay. Ghost Phantom.
I didn't say Waleed though. Thank you, Waleed. Ghost Phantom. Yep. We had a lot of
Everybody.
people.
I
Come
know,
in.
lots of people popping in. Good stuff,
Love
you
it.
guys.
We love that. So thank you for watching us on a weekly basis. We appreciate it. Without you guys, there is no me and Drake. Until next week, have a great week watching the fights. Stay
Peace.
safe, stay healthy. Peace.